A person in a coma is living or dead. Can all organisms reproduce? Are you living or dead? What are living and what are non-living? You will get the clarity about these questions in this video. So don't miss this video, watch the video till the end. The lesson begins with a question: what is living? So we can define living, the organism which have the ability to grow, to reproduce, to respond to stimuli, and to perform metabolic activity. Where we see this all the category or the characteristic or these all properties where we see, so that is called as living. Growth is seen in plants, animals, bacteria, and small insects. Whatever the living organism will show growth and will reproduce. They multiply themselves. And they respond to stimuli. For any danger, they will protect themselves. They will be sensed, and metabolic activity will be taking place in them. The first term we took to define living is growth. So now let us see about the growth. What is growth? It means increasing in the mass or in the size. We will grow, means we are increasing in our height. That is known as growth, increasing in our mass. There is a difference between plants and animals. Plants will never have an period where it will stop its growth. Its growth is continuous till its lifespan. It will grow, but the animals or we humans have an time period. Till that age we will grow. After that we cannot grow. The growth of the human will be stopped. So this was about the living, growth in living. You might feel wonder that non-living things also grow. As we told, increase in the mass. You can take an example of stone. In a hilly region or in a mountain, the wind blows and the particles are accumulated at the surface of the rock. So in that situation, there will be increasing in your mass. All the particles will be collected and will be attached at the surface of the rock. So as the days pass, the rock size goes on increasing. So this is known as growth. That is, we see in living and non-living. So we cannot say growth is a perfect property of living. So we cannot say that it is a perfect defining property of living. So we will give the sentence for the growth that it is not a defining property of living, because it is seen both in living and non-living. So now let us jump into the second term, as we told, reproduction. The second term we took is that reproduction. So there is the ability of an organism to produce their young when similar to them is known as reproduction. There is two kinds of reproduction, asexual and sexual reproduction. In that there are some examples. We will see yeast that reproduce by budding, planaria by regeneration, and fungi, algae through fragmentation. These are asexual reproduction. And we can think, so reproduction is only seen in living organisms. So it can be a defining property of living, but no. It cannot be a defining property, because some organism cannot reproduce. Like a woman cannot give birth to a child. That is known as infertile humans. They are known as infertile humans, which they cannot give birth for their young ones. And another example we see is worker honeybees. The queen only can give birth The other honeybees cannot give birth. So reproduction is also not a defining property of living. It is clear. The next term we took to define the living, that is metabolic activity. Metabolic activity means where whatever the food we have taken, that is chemically converted into energy, and we store that energy in the form of ATP, or we use the energy for our work. That is metabolic process or the metabolic activity that will take place in a living organism. There is no non-living organism or non-living thing which can show this metabolic activity. So we can surely say that metabolic activity is a defining property of living, because it is only seen in living organisms. There is no non-living thing which can show metabolic activity. The next term we have took, that is response to stimuli. As you saw, when the snake came, I ran away. That is the response I have given for the stimulus. So we can say this as the consciousness or the response. The stimulus given for an organism may be physical, biological, or chemical. So the response for a stimulus is only seen in living organism. There is no non-living organism which can show response. So this response to stimulus or consciousness can be a defining property of living. So that it is only seen in living, it is a defining property of living. So here we have saw metabolic activity and consciousness. These two terms are the defining properties which are seen in living organisms only, whereas growth and reproduction, they are not a defining property of living. When we see our surroundings, there are many kinds of organisms which are living. There are living organisms which can be seen, and there are living organisms which cannot be seen through our naked eyes. So there are many more and many types and many varieties of organisms living on this earth. There are so many kinds of organisms which are living and which have life in them. So till now we came to know there is 1.7 to 1.8 million organisms living on this earth, which are known for us. Only 1.7 to 1.8 million organisms are known, but there are many kinds of organisms and varieties of organisms which are still under research. So these varieties and these many kinds of organisms on this earth, they have life in them. This is known as biodiversity. There is different kinds of life on the earth, that is known as biodiversity. Bio means life, diversity, there are many kinds of life, or the types or the different, that is known as biodiversity. As I told, there are many kinds of organisms in this world. So the human mind is very creative and very crazy. So the human wants to know about all the organisms or all the living things which are present on the earth. So the human developed some techniques to know about all the organisms. So that is firstly identifying the organism. Firstly, we should identify the organism. The second thing is to name the organism, and the third thing is to classify, to place the organism in, or to classify in the, to place it in the classified table. So firstly, identifying is important. We should identify the organism. We should get a new organism which is not present till now. And the second thing is naming. It is known as nomenclature. We should name the organism. So in nomenclature, the firstly we should place the genus. The organism belongs to which genus? The first part of the name is genus. The second part of the name is species. For which species it belongs. So in nomenclature it will contain the two parts, that is first part is genus and second part is species. In nomenclature, for example, we will take mango, Mangifera indica. Mangifera, it is a genus. Mango belongs to Mangifera genus and the species is indica. So this type of nomenclature system was given by a scientist Linnaeus. He developed this nomenclature technique, giving the name for an organism. It was developed by a scientist called Linnaeus. To name any organism, we have some rules. We should follow that rules to name some organism. The first rule is that whatever the name is given, that is origin of Latin, and it should be written in italic, and the first part of the name should contain genus and second part should contain species, and genus name should be in the capital, starting letter should be capital, and species name starting letter should be in small letter. So as we write in the English alphabet, the starting should be a capital and rest all are the small letters. And when we write in our hand or it is handwritten, it should be underlined, or when we print the new name, it should be italic. It should be in italic, or print should be in italic and handwritten should be underlined. These are the rules we should follow when we are naming some organism. After these many processes, we should study about all the organisms. There are variety of many organisms, as I told, biodiversity. We should study about all the organisms. We should find an easy way to study about all the organisms. So we should classify the organism. Then the study about the organism will be easy. So this classification or taxonomy, it is not a new one. It is an old. In the ancient time, it was classified as useful and which are not useful things. It is classified like this. And there is another word called as systematics. Systematics means systematic arrangement of an organism in our systematic classification. This is systematics, and we try to find the relation between the organism. This is known as systematics. And the word taxonomy. The word taxonomy means the science which deals with naming the organism and describing the organism and classifying the organism. Naming, describing, classifying. This together is known as taxonomy. And another important thing is that we should know difference between us. And similarly, we should find the difference between the species or the difference between same group. For that, we have different categories. For example, we humans have different names. We can identify our name. We are different. Everyone has a different name. Similarly, we have different family names. So similarly, there is many categories in which we can place the animal. The categories the category goes as follows. The least one is species. First one is least one, or the first is species. Second, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, kingdom. Kingdom is the highest. So these are the categories where we can find the difference between same group of organisms. Okay, we have learned much about all the organisms. We have collected the information about the organism and we tried to classify the organism. We tried to study about the organism. After this all, we should preserve this information very safely. So we should preserve this information safely. So we have some techniques. The first one is herbarium, where we try the plants and we keep it in a sheet and we write the information of the plant as where it has got, and the scientist who found and what will be its name. It is herbarium. And the second one is botanical garden, where we grow the plants and we write its botanical name, its uses. So in this form we can store the information and we can spread the knowledge about the plant. That is by botanical. In herbarium the plant is dried and it is dead. In botanical garden the plant is living. We grow the plants. It is botanical garden. Third one is museum, where we store the information, where we preserve in a tube or some solution. It is museum. It may be dead things are stored in the museum. And the fourth one is zoological park. Zoological park, where you can see it is like we provide an natural habit for the organism and we study about their habit, their living, their food, their lifestyle. We study about their lifestyle by providing them the natural habit. But we are providing artificial, but it is similar to the natural habit it is living. So it is zoological park. And the next one is key, where we can get quick information about the species. We can quickly identify the organism with the help of key. This was today's session. I think it was a bit useful for you. So let us meet in the next session.